Now I've been recorded. Look out. Nama Om Vishnu Pataya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swanti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vichaline Devasrisha Shanyavhari Pashtatara Satanine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so we're continuing. Anyone can quickly remind us of what subject we're speaking about? It's got 4 letters. It's one word and it's 4 letters.
Separation.
No, we've been through that. We did that. Now on a different subject, which is the closing of this dissertation of this Sankalpa Kaumudi.
Can you give us a letter, please? First letter.
Hey, it's only 4. Someone must get it. Let's try first without any clues.
4.
Prema.
No. How do you get prema?
I don't know. It
Grace,
just came.
mercy.
Mercy.
Which in
Prema.
Sanskrit is kripa.
Kripa, not
Kripa,
kripa.
yeah. So remember,
Prema.
yeah, kripa. It is by kripa that we get love for God.
So yeah, I believe here you just
Well, I've got to do some muting 1 second.
You know, there's only Gopi Gitas there, but you know, all of them are sitting there listening. 4, 5 of them.
Okay. I've just said, yeah, Gopi Gita was unmuted. So yeah, so then there was some interesting questions brought up. We had a nice discussion as well. Bringing up the point that Krishna's kripa generally flows through and is given by the devotees. And the devotees can choose, or they choose by their compassionate heart of where they give kripa. Yeah. So it comes from, ultimately its source is Krishna, but the prerogative of its bestowing upon mankind, people in general, is through the devotees of the Lord. So that's called evam parampara praptam. Yeah. So we're picking up on that. I was reading ahead a little bit. All right, so we continue on Mother Chandravali. We're on page 786.
Mhm. Did we
All right.
discuss about the mercy coming like Madhyam Kanishta devotees?
Yeah, that's what's here now. Yeah.
Oh, I remember.
So Krishna is a source of mercy Shakti, Kripa Shakti. Okay. It is his mercy, but he gives the power of eternity over his mercy to his devotee, who is free to do with it as he likes. The devotees can choose to distribute it or to not. The decision to give Krishna's mercy is the mercy of the devotee. In this way, mercy is both Krishna's and the devotees. When the demigods were glorifying the Lord in Devaki's womb, they conveyed an insight into the relationship between the mercy of the Lord and the mercy of his devotee. They said, I'll just read a translation, quote, "O Lord, who resembles the shining sun, you are always ready to fulfill the desire of your devotee, and therefore you are known as a desire tree, Vanchakalpa Taru. When acharyas completely take shelter under your lotus feet in order to cross the fierce ocean of nescience, they leave behind on earth the method by which they cross. And because you are very merciful to your other devotees, you have this method to help them." Unquote. Okay. In this verse, Krishna is referred to as Dhyoman, the independent transcendental sun who illuminates the world with the rays of his mercy. Devotees are blessed with that mercy accessible to them in the form of the shelter of the Lord's feet. That shelter is devotional service, which is the boat by which the devotees cross to the far shore of the ocean of material existence. Usually, when one crosses water, the vessel on which one crossed remains at the landing point. But the demigods say that the mercy of the devotees is that the boat with which they crossed is both at the starting and landing point. And so, by the grace of Vaishnavas, what was received by them continues to be available to those who want it. In his purport to this verse, Srila Prabhupada explains that a form that the devotee's mercy takes are the books he writes describing the path of devotional service. That is a traditional way in which conditioned souls are able to access. Second song's coming in. Access Krishna's mercy through the mercy of the devotee. Therefore, writing and distributing books is the family business of merciful Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada's translation also features another wonderful interaction between the mercy of the Lord and the mercy of his devotee. His divine grace describes the boat moored at the starting dock in this way. Quote, They leave behind on earth the method by which they cross, and because you are very merciful to your other devotees, you accept this method to help them. Unquote. The meaning is that the Acharya may make adjustments to the details of how his followers can take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada gives the example that his followers were instructed to chant 16 rounds because they were not able to chant 64 or more. As we know, described in the Lilamrita, that was Prabhupada's first request to the devotees, or to those who were first coming to him and listening to him and were interested to go further. He asked them that they should chant 64 rounds. Yeah. But as you might imagine, they found it very, very difficult. So then the next was 32 rounds. But that was also deemed to be very difficult. Then 16 rounds. Yeah. Yeah, if they had to chant 64 rounds, then it's very doubtful that Krishna consciousness would have spread like it did. A few people just sitting in the temple chanting. So because that was the standard for Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as far as I understand. And read that book by Bhakti Vikash Maharaj. It describes the history there. And as far as I recall, I read it some time ago, devotees didn't take vows. It wasn't like we do now at initiation. Then we vowed to chant 16 rounds. There was no, how the details of the initiation went, I don't know. But there was no formal expression of chanting a certain amount of rounds. As far as I recall, those who were preachers, those who were actively preaching, they were, our Bhaktisiddhanta asked them to make sure you chant at least 16 rounds. So the balance of the time is spent preaching. And Prabhupada himself, unless I'm mistaken, I might well be, but I think he would chant, when he was a householder and he had a business, he would chant 16 rounds. 4 rounds in the morning, 4 rounds about lunchtime, 4 rounds later on, then 4 rounds in the evening when he got back. So 16 rounds. But when he took Vanaprastha, no doubt he would chant a lot more rounds. Anyway, just an interesting fact that Shiva Ram Raj brings up, that the devotee really has, liberty is the wrong word, but the devotee is so powerful that he can prescribe a specific sadhana according to the circumstance that persons can attain perfection. Yeah, all right, let's go on. That arrangement was Prabhupada's mercy. Because Krishna accepts how devotees want to distribute the Kripa Shakti, he accepted Srila Prabhupada's adjustment. Thus, Krishna's mercy wonderfully follows the mercy of his devotees in all ways, because he is Sat Anugraha, always kind and merciful to the devotees. Right, everyone following? Another prayer taught by Lord Shiva to the sons of King Pachanibahi makes clear that the Lord's mercy, that by the Lord's mercy one becomes fortunate enough to associate with pure devotees, the very personifications of mercy. And there's a verse quoted, quote, "My dear Lord, your lotus feet are the cause of all auspicious things and the destroyer of all contamination of sin. I therefore beg your lordship to bless me by the association of your devotees, who are completely purified by worshipping your lotus feet, and who are so merciful upon conditioned souls. I think that your real benediction will be to allow me to associate with such devotees." Unquote. The word anugraha is a synonym for kripa. The verbal root of anugraha is gra, which means to capture, and the familiar prefix anu means to follow. Together, anugraha indicates that someone's heart is captured by the plight of another. This is the definition of true empathy. Lord Shiva says that the Lord's grace is manifest in the form of the association of pure devotees, sagamo nugraha. Jiva Goswami gives two meanings to this phrase. Quote, "The first is that the Lord is he whose mercy comes through the gateway of his devotees, and so only through them does he bless the unfortunate. The second meaning is that the Lord is he whose mercy is his devotees." Okay, so the devotees of the Lord are the mercy of Krishna. There's a particular verse that we sing every morning that exemplifies this. Anyone can give the translation to this verse?
Sorry, exemplifies what?
It exemplifies this point, this by the mercy of the devotees, by the mercy of Krishna, one gets the association of devotees because they are his mercy.
Yasha Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada.
Yeah, that's it. If we got that right. Yeah. By the mercy of Krishna,
You get a spiritual
one gets a spiritual master. By the mercy of the spiritual master,
master.
one gets Krishna. So in that sense, the devotees are the personification of Krishna's mercy. But they have independence to choose who and where they give that mercy to. Yeah. I know my spiritual master sometimes he says in Sankirtan meetings that it's down to a Bhakta Shuruta of who's going to get the mercy or not, whether they go out that day or what particular town they may go to. It's all the independent desire of the devotee.
Can we maybe explain a little bit more what does it mean mercy? Maybe for, I don't know, if you post on YouTube the
Mercy. Yeah,
because
well,
you go and you interact with non-devotees, but what actually it means? I know it means that you give something to them, but maybe a bit more.
well, if we go back a couple of pages, one way that mercy is, let me just, where was it? The traditional way in which conditioned souls are able to access Krishna's mercy through the mercy of the devotee. Therefore, writing and distributing books is the family business of merciful Vaishnavas. So if you're looking for a mysterious kind of type of answer, I think it can be quite straightforward, because the direction and explanation of devotional service is given in Prabhupada's books. So that in itself is a very profound interaction between the devotee and the jiva and the non-devotee. So that is like, like just like a beggar, if they're destitute and they're on the verge of starvation, if someone comes and gives them a meal, then that is mercy. So in the same way, if a devotee, he gives them an opportunity to take up devotional service by giving them a book, then that is mercy. But also, it's the Vaishnavas, out of their compassion, they also wish well, and they wish well upon their dependents, and that's mercy. So that's what I said, but by pleasing the spiritual master, then the spiritual master bestows grace and mercy. Now that may come in just well wishes from their compassionate heart to the devotee. And that's mercy. Also, it's quite a deep subject, because what about if you're a disciple amongst 5,000 disciples, 6,000 disciples who hardly get to associate personally with your spiritual master? And it may be that your spiritual master may not even know your name. Remember your name. My spiritual master.
Yes, Prabhu, sometimes this is really a question, honestly.
Yeah, I shall get to it.
And but then after that,
yeah, let me get to that. Let me just finish this. My spiritual, he mentioned that one time Prabhupada was speaking with, devotees, and he asked one devotee there, he said, are you initiated? And the disciple said, yes. Prabhupada said, who are you initiated by? He says, you, Prabhupada. And I've experienced as well, sometimes when when my spiritual master would come, which he does now, and he would come to the temple. He had different people come to see him, and I was like being the usher, And often he would ask me, what's the name of the different disciples are coming in? That's just real. That's just real. I mean, the spiritual, if they've got hundreds of disciples. So anyway, back to the question is, how does mercy flow through? Well, if you're following the principle of service to the Guru, like serving his instruction, then that, because of that connection through serving him, serving his instructions, then Krishna, then the mercy of the spiritual master is felt. It is transcendental. So in other words, mercy of the Guru is not a material calculation according to time or according to material proximity. It kind of has this mystical side. By serving the orders of the Guru and following his instructions, then by the grace of Krishna, then one gets the mercy of Guru. Or if one is in close proximity to the Guru, then even though the Guru might not be aware of the details of one's service, then it will be revealed in the Guru's heart. Or it may be news will come somehow or another, mystically, it will become known of what particular service you would do, all by the arrangement of the mystic potency of Krishna. So we will not be bereft. Because Prabhupada had many disciples, over 5,000, which this day and age, for some of our spiritual masters, it's not many. He had over 5,000 disciples. But that's why I brought up this point. For instance, they leave them, their mercy is in their teachings.
Yeah.
Mercy is so by following their teachings and, for instance, following reading the books which they may write, then we're open to the flow of mercy. And similarly, if we don't follow the instructions of the spiritual master, all right, the spiritual master may not know, but we will cut ourselves off from that flow of mercy coming from the Guru. You know? Is that any further questions on that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, Nitai. So
Yeah, Papa, I was just saying, sometimes I I console myself with something which happened to me in Birmingham, actually. And I was really shocked when that happened. I could really, it confirms what you said just now. And it came to me, is that okay if I say that, Papa?
yeah.
And my Guru Maharaj, this is before COVID, right in front in the Birmingham, he came and sat for the class. I don't know what happened to me. I was sitting right in front and I was just looking at his clothes, and I'm thinking, why your clothes are not ironed, Guru Maharaj? These are little crumpled. Why like this? I don't know why I'm thinking also like this. And maybe I can do this service for you. And I just started. Then he started the class. Then I told to myself, stop, listen to the class. Okay. And I was listening to the class. I still remember. And he said, don't take any. This is one thing he said. Don't take initiation if you are not serious enough to go back home, back to Godhead this lifetime. And this is what he said. And then the next day, the one devotee said, I'm going to his flat. Do you want to go and do any service? I said, no, I can't go like that. There's no service. That's because this devotee was pushing me. I went there and there was no service. I was going to come out. One devotee came and asked me, do you want to iron Maharaj clothes?
I guess that was coming.
That shows that you are in parampara.
Oh my God, no. I was like, first of all, I started crying and crying and crying in the corner. And then I washed my face and everything. And then I ironed. I couldn't understand this at all. I don't know why I thought like that. I don't know. And how this, I don't know.
Krishna's grace and mercy, see? Krishna, master of mystics, then he can arrange these things, you know? So yeah, thank you, Mother. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so we'll read on a bit, and of course, I've lost where I was stopped. Okay. All right, okay, down here. The first, the implication of both explanations is that Krishna's mercy is available only by the association of pure devotees and not in any other way. The line Bhuteshu Anukrosha Shutvatva Shilanam describes the qualities Shila of saintly devotees. They are situated in goodness, Susattva, and they are very merciful, Anukrosha, to ordinary living beings. Bhuteshu, the word Anukrosha also means mercy, kripa. The verbal root krush means to cry. The import of the word is that pure devotees, quote, followed the crying of suffering souls. What do they do when they meet up with such distressed humans? Saints give them Krishna's mercy in the form of their teachings and example, and thus relieve the torment of the spiritual pauper's heart. I was just thinking as well, thinking about the world religions. They all follow this same principle. Christianity, for example, is based exclusively on the mercy of Jesus Christ, isn't it? And Jesus said himself, so that they learn this lesson, no one comes to that famous quote we hear often from our friendly Christians we meet on the street. No one comes through the Father, but through me. So I've tried to bring this up with a few Christians in the past, but they don't really get it. I say, yeah, we agree with that principle, that no one can approach God directly. You have to go through his representative. So that's the point that Jesus was saying. Yeah, you have to go through his rep. He's rep. he's representative. So I say that we have the same understanding in our tradition. But of course, it didn't get very far, you know. I think they realized what I was trying to say, you know. Someone has a hand up there.
Yeah. Can I add something quick? It's
Yes,
even
please.
Jesus like had disciples, and even all of them they were like gurus. If we think it's
Yeah,
very
it's the
very
same.
similar, but they don't want to understand. They say no Jesus and that's it. But Jesus was like acharya in a way, and then initiated the other ones, which other ones initiated other people. But
Yeah,
it's kind of missing somehow the link. They changed or whatever. It's not the same anymore.
yeah. So we can see that same principle is being, as we're reading here, it's the same principle which we see in world religions. You know, there will be a Messiah, or there will be someone who is empowered in order to give specific teachings according to the particular time, place, and circumstance, and to receive mercy and grace. I mean, it can happen. It can happen with Krishna directly, but that's the exception, and it's not the general example. Yeah, Krishna can, you know, for instance, postman could just get Krishna's grace and get love of Godhead for no reason. Anyway, silly example. All right. Oh, okay, Mother Mongol. Yeah, good point. We can see it.
Thank you. Yeah. Just I saw it many times like this, and it's hard to explain to Christians that actually even Jesus is not God himself. Even it says
Yeah,
in even he said that
that's
the guru it's not Krishna, but he's similar with Krishna. You know, if I say it correctly.
yeah. I mean, for instance, they will cite Krishna, Jesus is rising from the dead as being proof that he is God incarnate. But these things we're quite familiar with in the Bhagavatam, of these miraculous happenings. It doesn't, because he rose from the dead, it's not specific evidence that he is God himself. God could have empowered him, his dear servant, to arise from the dead, but they say no. Anyway, they say many things. So sometimes Prabhupada said, yeah, sometimes these, yeah, actually I was speaking, so I'm going off the track a bit. I was speaking to Abdul, you know, Abdullah, you know, our Muslim brahmachari. He comes from Egypt, comes from very strong Muslim culture, very strong. And he often meets, of course, he meets Muslims on the street. So I'm always curious. So I asked him recently, how's your discussion going on with Muslims you meet, fellow Muslims? And he says, I stopped speaking to them. It's pointless. It's often it's a waste of time. So the same way these differences in doctrine, in slight different. Anyway, let's read
I
on.
think who is ready, they will come by themselves when they will see devotees. It will click or it will not click.
Yeah.
You don't need to convince anyone.
Or they may be doing very well in their own Pacific tradition. They may be doing very well in their own Pacific tradition if they're following nicely. You know? So, okay. Lost place again.
I know.
Okay.
What do they do when?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Mochandra. What do they do when they meet up with such distressed humans? Saints give them Krishna's mercy in the form of their teachings and example, thus relieve the torment of the spiritual pauper's heart. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna uses the phrase mat prasadat, by my mercy, as in, quote, so this verse, we often quote it here, you will pass over all obstacles of conditional life by my grace. Oh, that's another one, actually. It's not him. Krishna, yeah, but if you don't follow my teachings, you will be lost. That's the other part of that verse. Yeah. Krishna says that devotees are the form of his mercy, and his mercy can be received only through the mercy of the devotee. In the way that Krishna is independent, so too is his Kripa Shakti. Now, Maharaj gives a nice example here from Damodar Leela. So much so that in Damodar Leela, it was the Kripa Shakti that decided when Yasoda should bind Krishna, not Krishna. This is the Kripa Shakti that interceded. He was too scared of being punished to think of such things. This is the excellence of Krishna's independent potencies. Yeah, sometimes Krishna's potencies put Krishna into illusion. So he doesn't even, as in the case of Damodar Leela, where he's not even aware he's God. And he starts crying in fear of Mother Yasoda. So that's the independent nature of Krishna's potencies, which are assisting him in his Leela. When Krishna hands over the power of eternity to his devotee along with his mercy, he also gives them complete independence to distribute mercy to anyone, anywhere, at any time. Right? That said, there are certain guidelines regarding what level of mercy should be given to whom. And if devotees are not mindful, they may incur very serious reactions for their oversight. One such transgression is the 9th offense to the holy name. Ashadadatani vimukte pas anushrinvate yashtupate shiva namaparada. Quote, it is an offense to preach the glories of the holy name among persons who have no intelligence or no faith in the subject matter. The message of this verse is that it is a nam aparad, an offense to the name, to give mercy beyond the aspirant's qualification, or for that matter, beyond the donor's qualification. All right. From the donor's qualification. All right. So there's many different levels of there's many different levels and understandings to Krishna consciousness. Yeah, many different many different levels in Krishna consciousness. And some of the things which we read and we hear about, perhaps in this, in what we're reading, is not for everyone. So we should have some sense of discrimination. Yeah. So you're not going to divulge into the details of Krishna's Leela and pastimes. If persons don't have faith in the divinity of Krishna as a person, then if you start to explain about his pastimes, they're just going to ridicule you, or they're going to ridicule the pastimes.
And make offensive too.
Yeah, and that become offensive to Krishna. So I think I've said this before. Excuse me if you remember me saying this before, but there's one devotee who does these podcasts, and this is online. What's it called?
Raghunath.
No, it's not Raghunath. It's another devotee, disciple of David Mrita Maharaj.
Oh.
And he met with this well-known atheist. I was surprised he was meeting. Huh?
Namarasa. Is it Namarasa?
No, it's not Namarasa. And I was surprised is this well-known atheist who has hundreds of thousands of followers, and he was meeting with him, having a discussion on Krishna consciousness. And then this devotee, he's relatively young, but he's quite bold, he's quite brave in who he speaks to, which is good in one sense. But he started to speak about Krishna, the person Krishna, and the spiritual world, and what Krishna does. He herds cows, like that. He's describing Krishna, the basics of Krishna Leela. And this atheist, he said, well, Well, I'm sorry. I mean, that doesn't do much for me, a guy with cows. Is that supposed to attract me? Is that is that supposed to attract me? Some boy playing with cows? So I'm sorry, it doesn't do anything for me at all. So it's completely. So that I think he overstepped that, and I think he, I think that I thought that was wrong. To start to explain, actually, I didn't think it was wrong. It was wrong, and therefore this atheist completely a deadhead atheist. Excuse me. Didn't appreciate it. So that's an example,
If we think about how we need to read the books, then it makes sense that he was wrong. Because we need to start to read the smaller books than Bhagavad Gita, Srimad
Let
Bhagavatam,
alone explain Krishna's Leela, 10th canto, to a complete atheist, And the thing, and I felt it interesting. I felt it was contaminating me just to hear that. He had such zero faith in Krishna's pastimes, absolutely zero. And he was almost ridiculing it. That I felt just by hearing that sound vibration, hearing that conviction in his heart of the so-called nonsense of believing in a God who plays with cows, that contaminated my consciousness, just by associating with that vision or that person and hearing that sound, I had to Hare Krishna, so Matt Dillahunty was the atheist. Interesting. I remember the name of the atheist. I can't remember the name of the devotee. Anyway, I think
he left a big samskara. That's why I'm not listening also to certain. We don't even have TV or so. No TV, no radio, no, not interested.
Great. Okay, so any questions or comments from anyone out there? Mother Chandravali, would you like to read some for us?
Okay, where I am lost.
You're lost in the material world. 790 at the top.
At the top, okay.
Under the 4 asterisks.
Yeah. In addition to the above mentioned truth regarding divine grace is another. Krishna and his energies follow the will of a pure devotee. Once while wandering over the universe unimpeded, the Navyogendras came across Maharaj Nimi's sacrifice and of their own free will decided to give audience to the king and his retinue. Sukdev Goswami says, they approach according to their free will.
Unquote.
Thereafter, the 9 sages each spoke extraordinary words of the wisdom and so liberated their audience. This was an example of devotees distributing Krishna's mercy according to their sweet will.
This is the 11th canto, yeah? The Navyogendras.
Yeah,
but they approach according to their free will. Yeah.
Lord Brahma gave another example of how Krishna is subservient to his devotees. Embarrassed for having tested Krishna's powers, Brahma begged forgiveness with eloquent prayers, and that included the sentence, can you say it? Okay.
Just read the translation.
Yeah, translation. Neither I nor anyone else can estimate the potency of this transcendental body of yours, which has shown such mercy to me, and which appears just to fulfill the desires of your pure devotee.
Unquote.
The Lord further confirmed subservience to his devotees when Durvasa Muni was desperate for shelter from the Sudarshan Chakra. The sage sought out the Lord's mercy, thinking, quote, after all, it is the Lord's personal weapon. He can withdraw it, unquote. But that was not to be. Lord Narayan admitted that he was not at liberty to annul an offense against his devotee. He had no independent authority over his pure devotee. To the contrary, he was but a subordinate, fully controlled by Amrish's devotion. His words eternally resounded in the heart, sincere Vaishnavas.
Yes, this should be his words eternally resound in the heart.
Of sincere.
Yeah, I'm just going to note that down because I'm sending these things to one God brother.
Of sincere Vaishnavas.
Yeah.
I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent. Because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires, I sit only within the core of their heart. What to speak of my devotee? Even those who are devotees of my devotees are very dear to me. Unquote. No doubt, there are examples when a devotee is seen to give mercy to a conditioned soul in response to the order of the Lord.
Oh,
For
okay.
example, Srimati Radharani was observing the wanderings of a Mathura Brahmana who was unclear about both the sadhana and sadhya of pure devotion. She thus called Gopkumar, who is known as Sarup in Goloka, and asked him to deliver her devotee. The entire second part of Brihad Bhagavatamrita is the instruction that Gokumar gives the Brahmana. And yet we know that if, for some reason, a devotee is averse to the opinion of the Lord and does not want to bless a person, then the follow of mercy is blocked.
Okay,
That
here's
is,
the verse we quoted earlier. Go on.
that is the import of the Guru Astakam
Ashtaka.
verse beginning with Yasha Prasada.
Prasada Bhagavat Prasada. Yes.
Sri Jiva summarizes this truth by saying that in the case of the deliverance of a living entity, the mercy of the Lord is a secondary factor, the primary factor being the free will of the pure devotee. Therefore, as regards saving a conditioned soul from Maya, Krishna Kripa Shakti is the ingredient cause. Upadana
Upadana Karana.
and the mercy of the devotee, the effective cause, nimitta karana. In the way that raw clay is of no value as a plate without first being molded and fired by a potter, the Kripa Sakti is not helpful without being made accessible by a Vaishnava's free will. The role of a devotee is distributing mercy. The role of a devotee in distributing mercy should not be seen solely as that of a delivery man. While a Vaishnava does not change the context or meaning of the truth that he transmits, he does add his own personal touch, which may enhance the Lord's mercy even further. For example, the Srimad Bhagavatam begins by extolling its speaker, Sukdev Goswami, who made that fruit of the Vedas even more tasty by his artful recitation. Sukha Mukhad Amrita Dwara Sam Vitam. In his glorification of the Lord, Shiva therefore prays for the real benediction of associating with pure Vaishnavas, implying that the sequence in which mercy descends is from the devotee first and from Krishna second. Moreover, if the devotee's mercy is secured, Krishna is guaranteed to follow. The Lord admits that he is not independent, but rather fully controlled by his devotee. If a devotee blesses, then so does he. This is confirmed by the words of Sri Rudra, cited earlier. The eternally liberated devotee have never been touched by the material energy, and thus they are moved by empathy, anugraha, However, the sadhakas and the sadhanasiddhas can recall their previous sufferings in the way one remembers a bad dream. In that way, they are deeply affected by what they see and freely give their kripa. In either case, a devotee's mercy is invoked when he sees the unfortunate condition of those bereft of bhakti. Sadhavo dina vatsalya. Sadhus are merciful to the fallen. This mercy, unlike the reciprocation of demigods, is not dependent on their being worshipped or petitioned.
Yeah, just one point here is that this is why the tradition of initiation is very much needed and part of Krishna consciousness. Because it means you specifically are working and serving under the direction of a Vaishnava who is guiding and looking over you. So you're kind of strongly lining yourself up for kripa. In other words, if you don't take initiation, okay, Vaishnavas are merciful and they may bestow their grace and mercy, but really, they really bestow their grace and mercy is when they willingly take you under their shelter. So that's another aspect of the importance of taking initiation. It's not left. So otherwise, it could be leaving it to vague chance. Better we humble ourselves and take shelter of someone who inspires us in a Krishna consciousness. And then in their service, they may think well of us and they may wish us to advance by our service. And then we get kripa. Then we get mercy, so. Yeah, I think Jayadvaita Swami, who's coming soon, a good few years ago, he was challenged, why should we take initiation? Why can't we just get Krishna's mercy? So you can hear how reading what we have just read, that's a ridiculous proposal, isn't it?
Mm.
It doesn't work like that. And she made quite a case. She was quite emotionally, it was quite an emotionally empowered, emotional question. Why is Krishna's God? Why do we have to go through? And you know what Maharaj is like? He's very succinct in his answers. He said, it's like playing tennis without a net. What's the point? There's not much point, so yeah, so something to keep in mind. If we really want Krishna's mercy, we have to submit ourselves to his devotees, or we have to willingly serve his devotees. Yeah.
Because you cannot get prema without humility. Like surrender.
Yes. So,
surrender would be,
yeah. I mean, I know some, I don't want to be critical, but I know some devotees, I've known him for about, or devotees known for about 30 years, and they still haven't taken initiation. 25 years. Of course, they may have the different reasons. I don't know what that is exactly. But actually, we do, to get Krishna's mercy, we should align ourselves, We should line up very strongly. Yes, I'm submit to this particular Vaishnava, Yes.
so they're not ready to surrender in a way.
Yeah. Who's to know the reason, but the mercy is not going to really, the process is not going to really have its full effect unless we get that kripa coming from a Vaishnava. Oh hey Vaishnava Thakora, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, Yeah, it's all there in our bhajans as well, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. All right, you can continue reading unless there's any questions or comments upon that. So if someone asks you, why do we need to take initiation? Then you can give them a whole lecture. Explain
Or we
very-
can just say it's like playing tennis without a net.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like playing tennis without a net.
True, we don't experience. You can't experience fully if you are not initiated. I always try to explain to Lucinda too, my wife, that you need initiation to really.
Well, it's but yeah, but the initiation is also was always said. I have to say as well was that this one particular example. It's something that is something that is unique to the individual. You cannot force someone. When the time is right, then they will feel the need, you know. So we shouldn't. Yeah. So it's not like a mechanical thing as well. You know, we should. When the time is right, then we might go forward to take initiation. You know, but we should. You know, we should not wait too long. 30 years, 40 years, something like that. I don't know.
That's right, but some people, not devotees, think that they can go directly to God. That's what I forget to add. Sometimes they say, "Oh, I have connection to God. I can pray and He can hear me." Well, you can, but it's not the same. It's not.
Well, yeah. That's the other side. Is that's why you can, like we have Aditis, you can pray directly to Krishna. So that's part of that's part of bhakti, is that we pray every day. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And that's a direct calling out to Krishna. It's not calling out to the spiritual master. But the complete picture does mean following Krishna's instructions. Yeah, like we're chanting Hare Krishna. But Krishna has given the instructions, and he says in Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Tad vidi panipadena vadipasena. So that's also part of the complete. So we don't just chant Hare Krishna. We can do. But we have a spiritual master, like Haridas Thakur. His spiritual master was it Vitacharya? Can't recall now. But he was just beseeching Krishna through the holy name. But he had, and even Lord Chaitanya, who could go on, even Krishna, they had spiritual master. So we're going off in different tangents
So
here.
then one has to come to the mood that I need somebody. I need, you know, like Devki Mataji's been giving classes, and you have to come to the mood that you're crying for mercy. You're crying for mercy.
Yeah. Very nice class you gave, isn't it? Otherwise, what they call it? Empty capsules.
Yes.
Yeah,
Let's do it
empty
heartfelt.
Yeah.
Heartfelt.
I was a bit, you know, at one point when she said that, oh, you can go to Prabhupada as well. And that's okay. It's all right for those devotees who are settled in their Krishna consciousness. But otherwise, I felt that some people might take it wrongly and say, oh, well, I don't need the spiritual master. I can go to Srila Prabhupada, you know.
Yeah, that's I also took note of that in her
I
class.
felt a bit, yes.
I mean, it's a fact you can, but if you go to Prabhupada, you're going to go to Prabhupada's books, and in Prabhupada's books, it says you should take initiation.
Otherwise, you become Ritvik.
Yeah, but you know, things devotees do have dreams. It's going in another direction. They have dreams of Prabhupada, but what's in Prabhupada's books, you know, it's to take initiation, you know, from one of his representatives. Obviously, we cannot go directly to Prabhupada. We can read Prabhupada's books again, but what does Prabhupada's books tell us to do?
Yeah.
That's not Gurum Papadjeta, is to have implicit faith in our gurus, that our gurus can deliver us, you know? Yeah, I mean, socially speaking, our society has been through a lot. So it's been through a few things where spiritual masters have fallen down. So therefore, in order to protect their faith, then the emphasis is naturally going to be on Prabhupada. But sometimes it can be expressed in such a way as to, not by Devaki, but it may be expressed in such a way that you shouldn't have too much faith in your guru because he may fall down. No. You should have absolutely implicit faith in your guru. You know, you shouldn't, yeah. You understand?
But can I say something quick?
That's
Even
one second. Just on the thread. That's what Prabhupada instructs in his books. We should have implicit faith in the guru. It shouldn't be, really, perhaps he could fall down. I mean, he could do, but but that's not our meditation. Anyone could fall down. But we take initiation with implicit faith, and we have complete faith that he can deliver us to Krishna. Sorry, Madhuman, I cut you off.
what I was thinking, even if he falls down, it just looks here like he falls down, but we don't know who he is. He's a guru.
Anyway,
Always.
that's another subject. If he falls from grace, then he falls from grace. We don't want to start speculating, something special is going on here. But our point, and the main point here is that we should have implicit faith. That's what in the shelter of the spiritual master. Yeah, because of this fact, because this is where the kripa comes. This is where the mercy comes from. All right.
Then you have to make sure you choose somebody according to your own also desires.
That's why we read Prabhupada's books and we educate ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, we educate ourselves. You have Kanishta, you have Madhyams, Uttams, and there's different symptoms, and that's why there's a testing period as well, isn't it? 6 months or more, or whatever the case may be, Just like you want to attend a particular college or study under a certain teacher, then you're going to look at the credentials, before you may take to that course or roll in that university. Anyway, a bit of guru disciple. All right, let's press the pause button there for today. And we'll continue next week speaking about Kripa. And a few pages left in this chapter, or quite a few. Okay, thank you, everyone. Please join us tomorrow for tomorrow's a free, it's okay tomorrow, Bhagavad Gita. So
Yeah.
please,
Everybody can think what they want to read after this book.
We need to make maybe we can make a
poll. We can make a poll.
Poll.
You can read the Bible, the Quran, or the
Whatever.
Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Here we go.
Okay.
Purana.
You can also
Hare